Hello everyone, welcome to our news channel. Here you are always well informed. I ask you to please subscribe to the channel. Leave your like and thank you very much. Alan Menken recalls working on The Little Mermaid as a constant miracle. He and lyricist Howard Ashman were still flying high from the screen adaptation of their eccentric stage show, Little Shop of Horrors, and they were re-teaming to write music for a new film. What are these two off-Broadway songwriters doing at Disney? We were in Glendale, not even on the main lot, in these little warehouses that had been converted for work on animation, looking at the storyboards and giving details to the animators about what we think the structure of the story should be. There was a hunger for what it was, a return to Disney animation, and to movie musicals, and we were given a great deal of leeway to really create. Released in 1989, The Little Mermaid is largely credited for kicking off the Disney Renaissance, a streak of acclaimed animated musicals that included Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, and numerous others. The movie was a box office hit and won 2 Academy Awards for its musical components: original score, also by Menken, an original song, Under the Sea, over fellow nominee, Kiss the Girl. Impudent, grandiose, a multilevel crowd pleaser, wrote Michael Wilmington in the Times Review. It almost returns the Disney animated features to their glory traditions of the 30s and 40s. That meant making a live-action version of the beloved classic, starring Halle Bailey as Ariel, the undersea princess who trades her voice for a pair of legs and the chance at love on land, required great care, especially when it came to presenting the legendary music. "People love these songs so much," said producer John DeLuca. "We didn't go so far as to be sacrilegious against them and do crazy things. We know that sometimes, you can overdo it when you try to beef it up. We're trying to honor that, and then let it breathe in a live-action context." With the help of a renowned dance company, an 86-person orchestra and a well-traveled percussionist, the new movie manages to elevate the cherished compositions into musical numbers that are orally sumptuous and visually spectacular, whether set underwater or above it. Here's how they pulled it off. Howard told the animators very directly, "This is the I want song, that classic moment where the audience gets emotionally attached to your protagonist," Menken said of the scene in which the mermaid dreams for experiences above water. Ariel is in this extraordinary place and a unique situation, but in Howard's hands, she's just a normal teenage girl who wants something. Menken composed the song to almost reach the apex of the dream and then fall back down to earth. It's pure musical drama. Ashman coached Jodi Benson through the recording of the now iconic ballad, which was nearly cut from the movie when Disney's then studio head Jeffrey Katzenberg worried it'd bore younger viewers. She was the blueprint. I forever have to credit her for laying this beautiful foundation that can never be topped because, to be honest, it's perfect, said Bailey of Benson's original version. "I went into it saying, I have to be up to par. And then I tried to give myself creative freedom to not get locked into the version that we've all heard." Bailey first performed Part of Your World during her audition with director Rob Marshall, who asked her to extend the song's final crescendo. "I wanted to see how high she could belt, so we just had her go up note by note, and it was just so beautiful, we knew it had to stay in the song," he said. In that moment, you can feel the depth of Ariel's yearning. Bailey's emotional take is backed by an 86-piece orchestra, complete with a particularly large string section that swells at just the right times. The arrangement starts small and grows to become so full and lush at that climactic moment, said Mike Hyam, the movie's music supervisor and music producer. Surprisingly, Bailey's vocal on the reprise is actually the scratch vocal that she recorded quickly on a freezing cold day, after doing stunt rehearsals and being thrown around on wires for 13 hours, said Hyam. "We ended up using that demo in the movie because there was something hugely emotional about it and it just couldn't be beaten." Lin-Manuel Miranda then wrote lyrics for the second, more heartbreaking reprise that's new to this movie. Originally performed by Sam Wright, the Oscar-winning song about the joys of staying away from the surface is a rousing calypso, wrote Wilmington in the Times review of the 1989 film. Starting like a little joke ballad scored to bone-bouncy steel drums, it quickly builds into a fine frenzy, the background whipped up with scads of sea creatures singing, pounding and tail-flipping against shifting backgrounds of green, blue, purple and sizzling red. Menken recalled that he and Ashman toyed with making this a reggae number because reggae was becoming very big at the time, but Sebastian is not really reggae. He's more of a Trinidadian gentleman who wants respect. It's more out of the world of Harry Belafonte. And the number sounds like a party because it's almost like the lyrics are percussion, it's very rhythmically infectious. Everything is so specific, there's not a single wasted word. The new rendition echoes that energy with layers and layers of congas, bongos, triangles, detuned timpani and, like, 6 different shakers, said Hyam, who drew from percussionist Paul Clarvis' vast collection of global instruments. And instead of conducting an underwater band, Sebastian, played by David Diggs, now kicks off a massive dance party, complete with toe-tapping sea turtles, spinning mimic octopuses, waving flatworms and ascending luminescent jellyfish. When Walt Disney was making Fantasia, he did that whole Nutcracker suite by bringing the ballet's Russes to Anaheim, and his animators watched how their bodies moved to create all these dance steps for the flowers and mushrooms and snowflakes, said Marshall. This time, the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater worked with choreographers Joey Peasy and Tara Nicole Hughes to embody sea creatures that we felt could lend themselves to dance, and then our CGI animators watched their bodies to create the fishes' movements. Times critic Justin Chon calls it the movie's most rousing number, in his review of the live-action remake, presented as a coral reef explosion of color and aquatic wildlife that almost approaches the original surreal, kaleidoscopic grandeur. It's a bouillabaisse that Busby Berkeley would be proud of. It's all so fun that, unlike in the animated movie, Ariel doesn't secretly leave in the middle of the song, but instead sings with Sebastian throughout the latter choruses.